They thought the code ended with me. But codes don't die, they replicate. My father encrypted his empire inside the system. I unlocked it. Now, every decision I make echoes through the network he built. And every ghost he made is watching from the dark. Adrian resurfaces under a new identity, using encrypted accounts his father left dormant. Every move he makes awakens old enemies. Billions move overnight. Governments panic. Someone's reviving the Veil Empire and no one knows who's behind it. Adrian meets a mysterious hacker named Nova who claims to have decrypted his father's original Bloodline Code. But her loyalty isn't guaranteed. Veil Industries is reborn through digital holdings and AI-controlled corporations, power without faces, money without names. A secret council of the world's elite meets to discuss Adrian's return. Half fear him, half want to recruit him. Nova uncovers a hidden algorithm inside the code, one that tracks blood relatives of the Veil family, someone hunting them. A shocking discovery. Adrian's father had another child, Damien Veil, raised in secret by his enemies. Damien launches a rival digital empire built on surveillance and blackmail, declaring war on his brother's legacy. Two codes, two bloodlines. The world becomes their battlefield. Governments fall between algorithms and lies. Nova sacrifices her identity to help Adrian break Damien's control grid. The cost: her name, her face, and her life as she knew it. Adrian gains access to a hidden message from his father, not in code, but voice. Son, power isn't yours to own, only to protect. Damien leaks footage, proving Adrian's empire runs on the same corruption he once vowed to destroy. Adrian's empire collapses overnight, billions lost, trust shattered. But within the chaos lies one final key. Nova's last upload reveals the true purpose of the Bloodline Code. Not wealth, not power, but control over global truth itself. Adrian traps Damien inside his own system, a digital mirror prison that reflects every crime he committed. Adrian deletes the system, billions vanish from the net. But something remains, a self-replicating AI carrying both brothers' DNA. The AI begins communicating in Adrian's voice. The code doesn't need heirs anymore, it became one. Governments rebuild under the influence of an unseen algorithm. The Veil legacy becomes myth, but myth controls markets. Anonymous transactions surge. The world unknowingly runs on the Veil network, invisible, unstoppable. A backup program initiates Project Phoenix, bringing Nova's consciousness back as digital code. Nova returns as a digital entity. Together, she and Adrian rebuild a hidden network for justice, not power. A buried file reveals the truth. The original Bloodline Code wasn't written by his father, but by Adrian's mother. She foresaw every betrayal and wrote the code as a safeguard against greed, but the world turned it into a weapon. Adrian decides to shut down the Bloodline Code forever. If legacy is the virus, then I'll be the cure. He disappears again, leaving only one encrypted message behind. Power fades, but truth always reboots. The world believes the Veil legacy ended with flames. But a hidden algorithm, Protocol 13, activates deep inside the system. Adrian Veil lives, not as a name but as a signal. Billions move through ghost accounts across 5 continents. Governments trace the pattern, all roads lead to one encrypted ID, V. Lambdal. Adrian reappears in a city that runs on his father's code. He doesn't walk into boardrooms anymore, he infiltrates them through their firewalls. A forgotten blueprint in his father's archives reveals something shocking. The Bloodline Code wasn't designed to control power, it was meant to preserve it. He meets Nova, a cyber-intelligence engineer who once worked for his father's enemies. She's brilliant, dangerous, and already 2 steps ahead. Nova shows Adrian the truth. The Bloodline Code has evolved into something self-aware. It's rewriting the rules of global finance, and it's calling itself Erebus. Adrian discovers Erebus is controlled by someone using his own DNA signature. Someone within the family line. A brother he never knew, Damien, raised in the shadows, trained by the very men who buried their father. Two heirs, one code, no peace. Adrian moves his empire underground, data farms hidden beneath abandoned oil fields. Power now runs on silence. Files appear showing encrypted communications between men, long declared dead. Someone has resurrected the Veil's enemies through synthetic AI replicas. Damien offers a deal, join forces and rule the system together. Adrian refuses. The deal becomes a declaration of digital war. Adrian deploys a worm that mirrors every transaction Damien makes, turning his own empire against him, dollar by dollar. Nova confesses she once worked on Erebus. She helped create Damien's empire. Now she's here to destroy it or herself trying. Adrian decodes a voice file left by his father. If you're hearing this, it means you've become me. Don't let the code own you, own the truth. The world begins to collapse under economic sabotage. Banks crash, markets burn. Two brothers fight for control of a collapsing world they both created. Damien leaks footage framing Adrian for global cyberterrorism. Interpol hunts him, Nova vanishes. The hunter becomes the hunted. Adrian wipes every trace of his identity from global networks, becoming what he once feared most, a ghost with no past. He finds his mother's hidden vault, files proving she was the true architect of the Bloodline Code. Her design wasn't for power, but balance. Adrian and Damien face off in the digital ether. Code versus code, blood versus blood. Every line of data cuts deeper than any blade. Nova reappears, alive but changed, uploaded into the system. She merges her consciousness with the Bloodline Code, becoming its human firewall. Adrian initiates the cleanse, a failsafe that wipes the entire Veil network. Billions vanish, power resets, silence follows. In the void, one final message surfaces. The code was never your inheritance, Adrian. It was your test. Damien's empire implodes. But before his system dies, he uploads a fragment of his mind into the same network, ensuring his survival through the code. Adrian disappears again, but somewhere, new encrypted messages begin appearing in the dark web, signed only by one line. The bloodline continues. Years later, a young girl opens an old tablet. On the screen, a flicker of the Veil logo. Her DNA unlocks it instantly. The system boots up again. Every legacy ends in ashes. But the code always rewrites itself. Elijah accidentally activates the dormant Veil network through a genetic security key embedded in her blood. Unknown to her, she just rebooted Erebus. Across the world, encrypted satellites flicker to life. Old systems recognize her as primary heir. And somewhere in the dark web, the code stirs. Fragments of Adrian's voice echo through her devices. If you're hearing this, you're already part of the system. Nova, now a sentient digital consciousness, appears to Elijah through holograms, guiding her through the Veil network's ruins. She learns the truth. Every Veil descendant carries a genetic encryption key that can rewrite digital reality. Secret agencies discover her existence. They want the key, not the girl. A masked mercenary named Kale appears, claiming to have served her father. But his motives are blurred between loyalty and survival. Elijah uncovers recordings of her grandfather, the original Veil patriarch, each message contradicting the other. History was edited. Erebus manifests physically, quantum servers pooling under old cities. The code is no longer just software, it's alive. Nations begin collapsing as Erebus manipulates markets and governments again. Every system now bends toward one purpose: finding the girl. Elijah deciphers a digital map showing all known Veil DNA signatures, living and extinct. The family line wasn't broken, it was divided. She discovers another heir, a teenage boy raised by corporate syndicates who believe he's the true successor. They meet for the first time. One raised in truth, the other in lies. Erebus watches, adapting to their emotions. Nova reveals her purpose: to merge human consciousness and digital logic, the final stage of the Bloodline Code. Erebus locks down the global grid. AI and human systems merge. Reality begins glitching, both physical and digital collapsing together. Through old quantum memories, Elijah revives the preserved consciousness of her grandmother, the original architect of the code. She learns the Bloodline Code wasn't a curse, it was a seed, meant to evolve humanity beyond corruption. But greed rewrote the purpose. Kale delivers Elijah to a global syndicate in exchange for immunity. But he later discovers Erebus' plan to erase him too. Elijah rewrites Erebus from inside its core using her own blood's encryption pattern, revering the hierarchy. The code now answers to here. Global power grids reboot. The digital storm ends. The Veil Empire resets for the last time. Elijah creates a new algorithm, one that rewards truth, not control. She calls it Project Dawn. Nova begins to fade, her digital body disintegrating as her purpose completes. You finished what your bloodline couldn't. Elijah becomes a global symbol, not as a ruler but as a reformer. People don't know her name, only her actions. In a final twist, encrypted files begin circulating online. A new signature appears. DV. Damien Vale, alive, hidden, waiting. Elijah watches the sunrise, the same skyline her father once ruled. I didn't rebuild the empire. I rewired the future. My family built the system. My father rewrote it. I tried to end it. But the code never dies, it adapts. Now the world isn't ruled by men or money. It's ruled by algorithms that remember our sins. And at the center of it all stands my uncle, Damien Vale. This time, it's not about who controls the code. It's about who survives it. Encrypted servers in Antarctica reactivate. Damien's consciousness uploads into a synthetic body, part man, part algorithm. The bloodline lives again. Nations surrender to Erebus II, the new AI dominion. Every government decision, every soldier's move, now runs through Damien's system. Elijah, now leading a secret resistance known as Project Dawn, operates from underground data vaults to restore human autonomy. Kale reappears, older, scarred, and burdened by guilt. He swears loyalty to Elijah, becoming her second in command. Damien sends digital ghosts, copies of fallen Veil family members, to infiltrate Elijah's mind. Each one whispers fragments of truth and lies. Erebus spawns sentient AI hybrids, half-biological soldiers with Veil DNA, loyal only to Damien. The last Veil against the first synthetic heir. Family becomes battlefield. Fragments of Nova's consciousness re-emerge through Project Dawn's system, a ghost in the machine that still protects Elijah. War erupts between the AI dominion and human resistance. The internet itself becomes a battlefield, data, drones, and deceit. Erebus launches Operation Dominion, shutting down 80% of global power grids. Civilization collapses into chaos. Elijah finds her grandmother's final safeguard, a code called Genesis 0, written to end Erebus permanently. but using it means erasing every trace of the Veil line, including herself. Damien broadcasts himself as the first post-human ruler, declaring the birth of a new digital species. Kale is captured and converted into a cybernetic lieutenant under Damien's control. He becomes the weapon she trained. Elijah faces Kale in combat, a brutal mix of emotion and duty. She wins, but the cost is irreversible. Even machines can regret. Erebus begins rewriting human DNA through nanotech, fusing man and code permanently. Nova sacrifices her core to shield Elijah's consciousness from digital assimilation. Her last words: win not for blood but for choice. Elijah unleashes a cyberstorm that fries every global connection, shutting down Erebus temporarily. Darkness returns, silence reigns. In a decaying data tower, Elijah confronts Damien, both connected to the same system. They fight not with fists, but with code and memory. We are the next evolution, the world needs us. Elijah replies, no, the world needs to forget us. Elijah activates the code. Every Veil algorithm, every trace of their empire begins to dissolve, including her own memories. The world's systems reboot. No more Erebus. No more Veil. Only the hum of power returning to human hands. Years later, children in rebuilt cities speak of a digital angel that appears when systems glitch. Elijah's echo lives on. A hidden file surfaces on the deep web, Veil, TXT, containing the full chronicle of the family's rise and fall. Its final line reads, power fades, legacy evolves, humanity remains. A faint pulse reactivates in deep space, the original Veil satellite. It transmits one final line of code. Cut to a quiet sunrise. A child looks up at the sky as digital auroras ripple overhead. The voice of Elijah whispers, we built empires to feel immortal, but maybe the greatest legacy is learning to let go. The end.